How to fix gamepad and keyboard input switching. Welcome back to Teknobalta. Today, we are tackling a highly frustrating input conflict where your game rapidly swaps between controller and keyboard layouts. We noticed that the moment you connect a controller, the game rapidly switches between keyboard and gamepad inputs, changing the on-screen button symbols every second. This flickering only happens when a gamepad button is pressed or the joystick is moved. Otherwise, the game stays locked to the keyboard. Our team found that this specific issue heavily affects non-Steam or standalone versions of games like God of War. We also observed this input switching error in other standalone titles, like Generation Zero. After extensive diagnostics, we have compiled a definitive list of troubleshooting steps to eliminate this input conflict completely. Step 1. The clean reinstallation fix. Our most successful diagnostic result came from a complete system wipe of the game files. We found that completely uninstalling and then cleanly reinstalling the game entirely resolved the input switching glitch. Make sure to back up your save files before initiating this process to avoid any progression loss. Step 2. Evaluating hardware disabling. You might assume that physically turning off your peripherals would force the game to recognize only the controller. However, during our testing, simply disabling the keyboard and mouse through Windows did not fix the problem. The game engine continues to poll the virtual driver, meaning we need deeper system-level fixes. Step 3. Managing Steam input settings. If you are running the title through a launcher, the platform's native controller programming interface can sometimes double-inject commands. At Teknobalta, we tested forcing Steam input to the disabled state for the specific game. You can do this by right-clicking the game in your library, opening Properties, and navigating to the Controller tab. Step 4. Utilizing non-Steam game shortcuts. For those running standalone or alternative versions, the lack of a centralized controller setup often causes these rapid input swaps. We confirmed that adding your game executable to Steam as a non-Steam game can act as a reliable bridge. Launching it through Big Picture mode forces the system to recognize the controller layout natively. Step 5. Closing background polling software. Background applications with overlay features constantly scan your system for input hooks. Our team found that software like Discord, NVIDIA GeForce Experience, and Overwolf can trigger this exact keyboard flickering. Completely close these applications from your system tray and test the game again. Step 6. Configuring DS4 Windows exclusivity. If you are using a PlayStation controller on Windows, third-party mappers often create a virtual Xbox controller alongside your physical device. We analyzed this error and determined that you must enable the Hide DS4 option within the DS4 Windows settings. This prevents the game from reading both the physical keyboard emulation and the virtual gamepad simultaneously. Step 7. Disconnecting secondary USB peripherals. Modern games often struggle to prioritize inputs when multiple gaming peripherals are connected. At Teknobalta, we recommend unplugging any steering wheels, flight sticks, or secondary gamepads before launching the title. Leaving only your primary controller and keyboard connected eliminates conflicting hardware polling. Step 8. Updating controller firmware. Outdated internal software on your gamepad can cause desynchronization with Windows input systems. We verified that updating your Xbox or DualSense controller firmware via their respective official Windows apps provides vital stability patches. Connect your controller directly via USB when performing this firmware update to prevent data corruption. Step 9. Purging ghost devices in Device Manager. Windows frequently saves profiles for every USB device you have ever connected, which can cause ghost inputs. Open your Device Manager, click View, and select Show Hidden Devices to reveal these old profiles. We advise right-clicking and uninstalling any grayed-out keyboard or controller devices listed under the Human Interface Devices category. Step 10. Disabling the Xbox game bar. The native Windows game bar intercepts controller inputs to navigate its overlay interface. Our analysis showed that this interception can sometimes fail to return focus to the game, causing the flickering layout. Navigate to your Windows settings, select Gaming, and toggle the Xbox game bar completely off. Step 11. Validating local game files. Corrupted input configuration files within the game's directory often lead to improper hardware detection. If you are using a supported launcher, utilize the Verify Integrity of Game Files feature to re-download any missing data. This process replaces damaged dynamic link libraries that handle peripheral communication. Step 12. Switching physical USB ports. Front panel USB hubs on PC cases often share bandwidth and can drop data packets during intense gaming sessions. We strongly suggest plugging your controller directly into the USB ports located on the rear motherboard panel. This ensures a direct, uninterrupted data pathway to your system processor. Step 13. Isolating connection types. Wireless interference can sometimes manifest as dropped inputs, tricking the game into thinking you switched back to a keyboard. At Teknobalta, we recommend testing the game with a direct USB cable instead of a Bluetooth connection. If the wired connection resolves the flickering, you may need to invest in a dedicated wireless adapter. Step 14. Adjusting hardware polling rates. Enthusiast gaming keyboards often feature incredibly high polling rates that constantly spam the USB controller. We confirmed that lowering your keyboard polling rate from 1000 Hz to 125 Hz in your peripheral software can stop the engine from misinterpreting idle signals. This creates a larger window for the Gamepad inputs to register exclusively. Step 15. Uninstalling third-party remappers. Programs like Rewast or Joy to key rewrite how Windows processes raw input data at the core level. Our team confirmed that these applications frequently conflict with modern titles that feature native controller support. Temporarily uninstall these programs and restart your computer to establish a clean hardware environment. Step 16. Resetting Bluetooth caches. A corrupted Bluetooth cache can cause a wireless controller to disconnect and reconnect in microseconds. Run the native Windows Bluetooth troubleshooter from your system settings to clear these localized errors. Afterward, unpair your controller, restart your machine, and pair the device fresh. Step 17. Clearing registry input conflicts. Sometimes, corrupted registry entries force Windows to misidentify your gamepad as a generic keyboard. We recommend opening the registry editor and navigating to the Media Properties section to clear outdated identifier keys. Always export a backup of your registry before modifying these advanced system parameters. Step 18. Reinstalling USB root hubs. If all other software diagnostics fail, your core motherboard USB drivers might be malfunctioning. Navigate to Device Manager, expand Universal Serial Bus Controllers, and uninstall the USB root hub devices. Restarting your computer will automatically force Windows to reinstall fresh, uncorrupted versions of these essential drivers. Don't forget to follow Teknobalta for more.